Coming up with class names is a deceptively tricky part of working with CSS. And if you're using Sass and following the BEM or block element modifier naming convention, it can be even more difficult. So in today's video, I thought I would show you how I come up with class names for this card component in the Frontend Mentor challenge that we've been building, and also how I structure all my styles in my SCSS files. So to start off, we have our design in Figma open here, and I'm going to, before we start writing any code, make some notes out here in the margins, just showing you what I'm going to name each of the items in this card. Now, before we get into that, let's talk about what BEM actually is. So let's make some notes here with the text thing. So BEM stands for block element modifier. Let's move this over here so we can see better. So block element modifier, and what that means is when we look at the design, we're not writing styles for every single element in this design, all in one place. What we do, especially with our Sass files and the Sass partials, is we kind of break apart each of the design components into their own file. So we did this in the previous video, creating these styles for the header and the toggle, and they each had, the styles in the header were in header.scss. Styles for the toggle were in the toggle.scss file. So you can see that Sass and BEM are a really good combination in terms of writing your styles in an organized and structured way. So if we look at the design, the block is kind of the name of the component that you're writing styles about. It's the sort of parent component or the parent element. So in our example here, we're writing styles for this card. So the block in this instance is going to be card. So I'm going to say block will be card in this instance. And then the element, and usually a block will have more than one element inside it. So the card is kind of the parent, and then inside the card it has child elements. So for example, we have the platform, the social media platform, and the username on the top. Then we have like a follower count. And then we have at the bottom, it's like a change in the number of followers for today. So we have these sort of three elements here. We have the platform, then we have the count of followers, and then at the bottom we have the change. So those are going to be the three main elements that we're going to write styles for. So the elements are going to be platform, and then also going to be the count, and then the change. And this is just a start. We're probably going to add some more elements later on as we go. And then the modifier is a different style or appearance, and that can be attributed to, I think, either the block or the element. So for example, if we look at the design, the cards have slightly different designs based on the social media platform. So you can see the Facebook card has this blue stripe up at the top. The Twitter has a slightly different blue color. Instagram has this orange, looks like it's a gradient as well. And then YouTube is red. So you can see that the different styles for each platform can be written in a modifier class. So for example, the modifier could be Facebook for the Facebook card, Twitter, etc., and etc. Now, the other thing to keep in mind is when we're writing our styles, we're sort of combining these things together. And this is where you may have seen the whole underscore and hyphen thing. So when you're writing an element, you are going to start with the block name. So card. The card is going to have a class of card. So I'll write card. And then let's say we're writing styles for this top part. Let's say maybe for the icon. So that could be another element. So we'll just add this in our notes here. Icon. So the class for this Facebook icon could be card underscore underscore icon. And then if we look at the design, we can see that there's multiple kinds of icons based on the social media platform. So in this case, we could use a modifier. So for example, the card icon dash Facebook would have Facebook specific styles. And then there might be some more generic styles, for example, maybe the width of the icon that we could put under card icon. And we kind of just go down the line here. So I might actually make some more elements as we kind of look in our design. So after the icon, there's going to be, the username. So maybe that could be another element. So card underscore underscore username. And then that's it for the sort of top part. Now the next section is for the follower count. So we'll say card underscore underscore maybe count. Just try to keep things as descriptive as possible. And then under there is this followers label. So we could say card underscore underscore label. Now, if we're looking down at the bottom, it's this sort of change of number of followers either up or down today. So we'll say card underscore underscore change. And if we look at the design, we can see that it's green if it goes up and it's red if it goes down. So those could be modifiers since they're different styles of the change. So we can say card underscore underscore change dash dash, I guess up. And then it will also write some styles for dash dash down. So I hope this is starting to make sense how we're kind of breaking things apart. And you might be wondering, why are we even bothering writing these pretty long class names? Card, icon, Facebook. Like, why is that necessary? Why can't we just say, Facebook or icon without having this card preface? One reason is that having these card prefixes for each of these class names, it kind of helps to ensure that all the class names are going to be unique, because if we're thinking about a website that has multiple pages and templates and styles, there might be another icon element somewhere else in design that's completely different from what we're working with here. So this ensures that these styles we're writing for this card icon only applies to this element that has this sort of long class name. The second reason that we'll see a little bit later when we're starting to set up everything in our SCSS files is that having this underscore with the prefix of card, it works really well with Sass and the nesting feature of Sass. And again, we'll see this a little bit later when we start actually writing our styles. But for now, let's kind of go over and see if there's any more classes we want to make. So I'm gonna just mainly focus on this big card right now, but we can see in the card below it that a lot of the elements are the same. So for example, the social media icon looks pretty much the same size as we have in the big card. The number you can see is actually different. Like, it looks like it's the same font and color, but it's a much smaller size. And then the change looks like it's pretty much the same color and size as we have on top. So for the number, since we have kind of a bigger number up top and a smaller number on the bottom, we could maybe make that also a different modifier for the count. So let's see here. So card count dash dash small. And if we wanted to be really sort of detailed about this, we could actually make separate ones for the big modifier and then the small modifier. And then we would have the styles that are shared by both big and small, like the font family and the color and probably the font weight in the card count element selector. So I think that's pretty good for now. We'll probably be adding more styles to this as we get along. But for now, I'm going to start writing, kind of just building out the structure of our Sass styles. So if we go to our VS Code, I did make a card.scss file at the beginning in the last video when I set things up. This style rule wasn't really anything. It was just for us to check and make sure that it worked. So again, the card is going to be the block. So let's start adding styles for the elements. So under card, we got card icon modifier, Facebook, and then there'll be a different modifier for each of the social media platforms. So let's start with that. So card underscore underscore icon. Now in Sass, we have nesting, which is a feature that native CSS doesn't have, but this is what we can use the ampersand for. So the ampersand symbol means it'll reference the parent selector, which in this case is the card class. So the ampersand will be card and then underscore underscore icon. And then we can add the modifier class with another ampersand. So this ampersand stands for card underscore underscore icon, because that's the parent selector. Then we'll add hyphen hyphen Facebook. And we can do the same thing for Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. So we'll just add those out here. Instagram and YouTube. Okay, so let's go back to the design. So the next thing we want to do is card underscore underscore username. So kind of in the same way, ampersand underscore underscore username. And we're really just kind of making our way down the design here. So then the next one is card count with a big and small modifier. So count, and then in count, it'll have a modifier of big and small. And I think that's it for the count. Then after count, we got the card label, which is that followers text. So underscore underscore label. And then at the bottom is that change number. So it's change with a modifier of up and down. Underscore underscore change. And then in change, we'll have dash dash up and dash dash down. Okay, so this is pretty much all these styles that all the class names rather, that we're going to be using for this card element. And again, we might be adding some more styles because, we can see that the cards are in a grid. So we'll probably use either flexbox or grid to make sure that there are 4 columns on desktop. And then of course, when you get to mobile, it's stacked to 1 column. So we do need some additional styles for that. But we might make some more generic class names to control the layout, because I think I did add, so I have a layout Sass file here. So this has the container styles right now, but we could add some more classes for, a grid, because we know that both of these are 4 columns on desktop. So we can kind of use the same classes for the layouts for these cards. But in terms of the card specific styles, I think these should cover most of the things we're looking for. So going back to the card Sass file, and this is kind of the approach that I use when I'm, building a website for work or whatever. I just try to write all the different class names that I think I'm going to be using and all the different selectors, and then I kind of fill them in as I build things out. So now the next thing is we need to write the HTML markup for these cards. So I'm going to split this to the right side so we can have HTML on the left and then the styles on the right. So let's start adding markup for the cards. I'm going to minimize the header here since we don't really need this. So the card content's going to go in the main tag. And I think, I added a section tag. So I'm probably going to have each of these card grids in its own section tag. So this will be one section tag. And then the bottom grid along with this overview today is going to be another section tag. But for now, we'll just say section. And we want to add a class of container. And that's again to limit the max width of the content to 1110 pixels wide and center it. So basically every section, we're going to need to add the class container to that. And this is similar to what we did with the header in the last video. So in this section, we might also add the classes for the grid for that 4 column look, but we'll worry about that a little bit later on. Right now, I'm really just focused on writing the markup and getting the styles working for one individual card. And then we'll worry about fitting them into the grid layout afterwards. So it's another thing I try to do. I try to not do everything all at once, like try to come up with all the finished markup and styles, but I kind of break them down into steps. So right now I'm doing the card, and I'll worry about doing the layout later. You could, of course, do this in whatever order you want. You could maybe create multiple card elements and then, make the grid layout work from there. But when I have a group of multiple items, I usually start with just one, because if I create multiple divs for the cards and then things change, because they probably will change, because you're never going to get things perfect the first time around, then you're going to have to go back and change the markup for all the 3 other card elements that you made. So I just start from one. I think it's just easier. So here's the container. Now let's make our first div for the card. So I'll say .card. This is using the emit shortcut here. It will just generate a div with the class of card. Now let's go back to our card Sass file and let's see. So at the beginning, I'm going to handle the blue bar at the top, probably in the card element itself. Maybe I'll make a border a top of 10 pixels or whatever. So what I might do is start adding I might need to actually add some modifiers for the social media platform in the card element itself. So it'll be similar to the icon, but this is going to control the color of that bar at the top. So for card, let's look and check out what the styles are here. So in Figma, we're just going to click in here and keep clicking till we see that the element we want is selected. Okay, so I kind of want, I'm trying to get this background color here. I'm not sure if I have it. Selection colors. Looks like it's this sort of purpley dark blue gray thing. Is that right? 252B42. Let's just change it to red just to see if it changes. Hello. Okay, maybe not. Oh, I'm selecting the mask here, so I don't want that. Sorry. Let's see. I'm not super experienced with Figma, so this is kind of weird. So it's selecting the mask again. I wonder if I accidentally changed something. I think it's this color here. So 8C9, 8C6. So that's going to be the card background color. So let's open the colors Sass file here. It looks like maybe dark text 1. Does that seem right? I think the text one might be this actual text color. It's probably this dark card color here. So we'll copy that variable. And then in our card Sass file, we'll say background var dark card. And we might as well say color is going to be the dark text one. Okay. Now let's start adding some markup to the cards so we can start building things out. So the next step is the icon and the username. And I think I might need to maybe wrap them in an element. So we might have to create another element here. So I could just say card top, perhaps. So we'll go card top. I don't know if that's a great way of doing it, but yeah, we'll just do that. Just seeing what I did here. Maybe we'll make it a little bit more descriptive because it's like, what is this? It's the Facebook and the username. So like maybe the social media platform or whatever. Did I not write this in my notes? I guess I didn't do that. So we'll add card platform, and that's going to be the top element there with the icon and the username. So platform, and then we'll add the markup to match that. So card __ platform, and then in card platform is going to contain the icon and the username. So card icon, and then card username. There we go. Then we'll move on to the next section. So it's the follower count. So card __ count. So card __ count. And in the count, it's going to have the number and then the followers label. So I think I need to put the card label inside the card count. Card label. And then after that is the change. And I think I can just do card change for everything. Card change. Okay, so now we kind of have our HTML elements set. So let's move the actual text in there. So card platform contains the icon and then the username. So username is here. And then the count is 1987. And I think I'll just put it straight up in the card count element. And the card label is that followers text. And the card change is 12 today. So we'll do that. Okay, so this is the markup for our first card. Now we do need to add a card icon thing. So I'm hoping that they've given us either PNGs or SVGs for this. I'm trying to select the icon itself. Oh yeah, it looks like this could be an SVG. Can I export this? Actually, let's see if they included that in the Frontend Mentor images anyway. Oh, that's a design. Oh, here we go, images. Okay, icon Facebook. Okay, so we can use those. So in the card icon, I guess I'll add an image tag and we'll say images icon Facebook SVG. And then in the alt text, it'll be Facebook. Okay, so why don't we check out our website and see what it looks like. Oh, and in this video, we're going to use, instead of Firefox, which I have been using, we're going to use this other browser called Polypane. And this looks different, as you might notice. And the really cool thing about Polypane is that you can load multiple devices in the same view. So it helps a lot with when you're debugging responsive websites. And it's cool because it's like synced. So for example, if I click on the toggle here on the desktop, you can see it's also changing on the mobile and vice versa. So everything's synced. Also, you know, as we get more content on the page, you can scroll down on mobile and then it'll also scroll and match it, the scroll position on desktop and vice versa. So, you know, I still like using Firefox, but I think when you're comparing the mobile and desktop views, when you're developing a website, it can be really helpful to have something like this so you can see both views. So let's see where we are. Reload this. Okay, so you can see the card here. So it looks like the background color is correct with what we have in the design. Obviously, we need to style a lot of stuff, but the Facebook icon is showing up, which is great. So the next thing I do is I usually try to get the layout fixed first inside the element, and then I'll worry about, you know, the text colors and font sizes and stuff like that. So if we look at the design for the card, you can see all the content in the card is centered, and then it's kind of spaced out. It seems pretty evenly. Like if we click in here, it looks like there's 28 pixels of space on top and 25 on the bottom. I might make that the same just for, you know, make things a bit more consistent and make it maybe 25 on both sides. Let's look at what we got in our browser. So obviously this card is going all the way across because it's a block element. So if we do this, and Polypane is written in, I believe, the Chrome browser engine. So this is the similar dev tools to what Chrome has. Here's card. Oh, I made a mistake here. Color. I forgot the var function. There we go. Okay, so because it's going all the way across, I think I might just add some temporary styles to limit it. So let's say card width, and I'll just see what we have in the design. 255 pixels. So rem 255. And this is a temporary style, so I'll just add that so I don't forget to remove it later on. Okay, so now we can see it's a little bit better. Let me zoom in a little bit. You can see that a little bit better. Okay, so we got the card and we want to make things centered and then evenly space it out. So let's maybe add a text align of center and see if that does what we want. So that's pretty good. So let's try that for now. So text align center. And then, yeah, so that's, we're getting there. And maybe we'll add some padding. So let's see what the padding inside the card is. 32, 24. So maybe let's do 25 as the card padding. Padding, rem 25. We'll just do it all the way around. Okay, so it's getting there. Now, things are centered, but obviously this does not look super close to the design. The problem is I want the card platform to have the icon on one side and then the username on the other side, and then card count and card change. And then we want the same thing with card count where it's one on the left and one on the right. Or no, I'm sorry, with the followers, I think it's the followers text is under the 1987. So let's do card platform right now. So again, looking at the design, the icon is on one side and the username's on the other side. So let's see, we could do something where the icon, maybe we could say display inline block. And then card username is also display inline block. So that works to put them next to each other. However, we want to vertically center it. So right now you can see the text is kind of on the bottom. So I think I might need to use flexbox instead of inline block. Let's try that. So we'll make card platform display flex. That's pretty good. And then justify content center and align items center. It's like looks like the text is still a little bit to the bottom. I wonder why that is. Looks like there is card icon is 20 by 24. But the image looks like it's not going down all the way. So I don't know if that's an SVG thing or, oh no, the image is like that. Not sure why it's adding that extra space at the bottom. I wonder if I could just make the image the card icon. Maybe I'll try that. So let's add the flex styles from card platform. And we'll try to fix the alignment on that image thing. So card platform, display flex, and we want this to be the same for mobile and desktop, so we don't need a media query here. Okay, so now let's go back to our markup and maybe instead of a div class card icon, we'll get rid of the div, move the class to the image element itself. So remove that. And then remove that. So the image itself, and this might look weird. I'm not sure if this is gonna work. Oh, it looks good. So now things are centered. And we'll add a little bit of space, I think. Let's zoom in here. Space, so there is 8 pixels of space to the left of the username, to the right of the icon. So I'm going to say margin right on the icon of 8. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now we need to style this text here, of course. So if we go here, let's see. Looks like this is bold, so let's check out the styles for the text. Oh yeah, here we go. Text. It's Inter, which is the font we're using everywhere, I believe. Bold and 12 pixels. So right now, what do we have? Card username doesn't have any styles. Explicitly set, and it's 16 pixels. I think because I set the default size is like 1 rem, which is 16 pixels. So card username needs to be font size 12 pixels converted to rem, and then font weight is bold. There we go. That looks pretty good. Okay, now let's look at the spacing. I think we said 25, right? Oh, 28. 25 and 28. I guess we'll try to stick to the design. So 28 on top. So we want to add 28 pixels of margin bottom to card platform. Margin bottom, rem 28. There we go. All right, now let's do the followers section. So if we look at the design here, this is obviously much bigger than the default 16 pixels. It is Inter, bold, and 56, and the color is white. So let's do that. And that is the card count. Here we go. So card count. Oh yeah, and then we have the big and small version. So the color is going to be the same. I guess light background is white. Far, light background. And then the big modifier is going to be font size rem 56. And then I want to make sure that I did add that modifier in my markup. So what I have to do here, because I have some styles for card count, I need to keep that card count class and add to that and say big. Okay, let's see how that looks. Okay, so obviously followers is too big, but we can fix that later. And this needs to be bold, I'm guessing, too. Font weight, bold. Okay, I think that's better. Obviously this is a little bit big. I'm zoomed in. But yeah, I guess that does seem right. Now let's fix this followers text styles. Enter regular 12. And it's that gray color again. Card count. And then label. And then the font size is 12. And it is all caps, but I'm going to do that in the CSS versus the actual text. So font size 12, I think I said. And then font weight's going to be normal. And then I'm going to add a text transform. And I like making things uppercase in CSS versus doing uppercase in the HTML, because if things change later on and they want to not be all uppercase, you're gonna have to go back and change all the instances of the uppercase to regular case. And I'd rather just be able to remove the text transform if they ever want to not have uppercase. Okay, so we're getting there. Might be some letter spacing going on too. This seems pretty... Oh yeah, here we go. 5 pixels of letter spacing. Let's see. I gotta say, I've used Adobe XD most of the time when I'm working with design files, just because that's what the designers would give to me. This is the first time I'm using Figma, and I do like a lot of the things they give you. It's a little bit more intuitive in terms of getting the styles out. Like, I could be wrong, but I don't remember seeing some of these. It's not an export panel. The UI is just a little bit different. And I love how Figma gives you the actual CSS for stuff. I don't think, I could be wrong, but I don't think I ever saw that in XD. Unless it's just a feature that I never found out about. But another kind of pain point with XD when I was using it is the letter spacing thing, because they, if I can even get into here, but like it's telling you here the letter spacing is 5 pixels. I'm not sure what units they were using in Adobe XD, but it was like, I think they're using maybe an Illustrator thing, which doesn't really help for developers because I would just basically have to eyeball it. And again, maybe there's some kind of conversion or whatever, but it was just a different number, like there was no unit for letter spacing. So I'm really liking Figma. All right, enough chatter. Okay, so the number looks good. The followers text looks pretty good. Let's check the spacing right now. So I think the line height here maybe should be 1. That's a bit closer. Let's see what it says here. 9 pixels. Oh, this is a letter spacing of -2 pixels. So let's add that in. Count. And -2. And I'll just set the line height to 1. And then for margin bottom, I think it was 8. I think I said. Let's check that. 9. Okay. Is this working? Let's see. Oh, I need to add the margin to the top of the label because it's inside the card count. So margin top. There we go. Kind of seems like a lot because there's already space from, I guess, the line height. I think maybe I'm having issues because I put the label inside the card count because I was trying to make things a bit easier on myself. But yeah, usually, yeah, I might need to add another selector here for the number. Yeah, so let's do this. Let's make this, oops. Let's move this here. So card count is just encapsulating 1987. Card labels here, and we'll put both of those in a new parent element, and we'll call this card underscore underscore followers. And we'll move both of those in there. Okay. And then we'll add some of the styles from the count to probably followers. So followers, oops, followers. And then I personally like using margin bottom versus margin top, just because I try to keep things consistent with all my elements and only add space between elements by adding a margin bottom to the element before. And that's just a personal preference. Okay, let's see how that looks. Okay, not bad, I think. So yeah, we got the margin bottom there. I feel like there's still a little space, even though I set the line height to 1. So I think I might just need to maybe reduce this. So instead of 9 pixels, 4 pixels. Let's see how the design looks. So things aren't always perfect in terms of what is in the design versus what ends up being in the browser. So it's that much space here. That seems okay. So we'll change margin bottom to 4 pixels. Okay, that seems pretty good. Is this centered? I can't tell. It seems centered. Okay, I think it's centered. And then let's add space under the followers and before the change. So followers, and it's 25. So we'll add that space to the followers selector. So margin bottom rem 25, I think is what it was. Okay, looking pretty good. And then let's add the 12 today styles. So in the design, it is green, and that's going to be for the up modifier. But let's add the styles that are shared with both the up and the down styles. So they're different colors, but everything else is the same. So let's check out the font styles for this. It's Inter Bold 12. Okay, let's do that. So for the change, font size is 12. And then font weight is bold. And then we'll add the colors here as well. What color is it? Is it lime green, I think? Yeah, that must be it. So color, var, lime green. And since we're here, I might as well add it for bright red too, for the down. Oops. Var, bright red. Why is this not? Styles aren't coming through. Card change. Oh, I didn't add the modifier thing. So card underscore underscore, oh, card underscore underscore change dash dash up. There we go. Now, I know this might seem really like extra to have these two classes here. What you could also do if you don't want to do that is do something like this, where you only include the modifier class in your markup, but then for both up and down, you could say extend card underscore underscore change styles. So let's save that. And what extend does is it'll just copy the styles that are in whatever selector you say. So you can see here. Oh, did I save the HTML? No, I didn't. And if I did things right, things will still show up. Oh, there we go. So card change up. And now we see that it is using the styles. The problem with this is that, and this is kind of where people just have different opinions on things, but a lot of people don't recommend using the extend rule in Sass because you end up adding these styles to 3 different selectors. You're adding it to card change, then you're adding it to card change up and card change down. Versus if we went back to what we had before, card change, get rid of this, save both of these things. Then what you have is, it looks the same, but you can see the styles are sort of separated out. So it's like card change up, it only has the lime green color. And then the other styles that are shared with both the up and down styles are in card change. And you're not having multiple selectors for a given set of rules. So it just kind of helps to keep your CSS a little bit more compact. Obviously, the trade-off is that now instead of one class, you have two classes in your HTML. And some people, they don't like doing that. But I think I used to use extend a lot because it was handy for this very purpose. But I think you just need to be careful when you're using it. I'm kind of nowadays just using these multiple classes in my HTML, even though it seems kind of lengthy, just because I would rather have my CSS be a bit more structured and not, unnecessarily share styles between selectors. Of course, this is my own preference. If you want to use extend, you're more than welcome to. Just if you do, make sure you're not using it with super nested selectors. And that's one of the guidelines when you're using Sass actually, is that I think they recommend not going more than like 3 layers in. So card is the first layer, and then these elements, platform is the second layer, and then icon the second layer, and then the modifier in the element is the third layer. So you don't want to make too many nested things because that just makes your selectors in your final CSS really long, which can make your file bigger. And it can make things a little bit more confusing when you have a lot of different styles and a lot of different selectors. So we're actually doing pretty good here. I think for this change, we do need to add that arrow icon that we see here. So it's obviously an up arrow for the up and then down arrow for the red. And let's see if they, oh, yep, they gave us an icon up and an icon down SVG, which is interesting. Let's see if the color's included in here. Oh yeah, it is. That's probably why they did that. Down icons there. Another approach you could do if you're trying to save on SVGs is just have this one icon up and then set the fill based on the CSS class. And then you can use a transform to rotate it 180 degrees for the other class. But obviously this works just as well. And then that way we don't need to necessarily create additional CSS styles for the up and down versions. So I think what we're gonna do is in here, it's sort of like what we did with the icon up at the top. So we had an image with the icon, then we had the username. So we might need to do the same thing and add a few more selectors here. So I'm gonna say image, source. Let's see if I can get away without having to create a new class for this. Images, oops. Images, and then icon up. Shoot. There we go. No. I'm still getting used to this new keyboard that I got. The placement's a bit different from what I was using before. Alt, up, arrow. Okay, so I think what's going to happen is I'm going to probably have to create another div to enclose the thing, the 12 today, similar to what we did with the follower count, just to make things align a little bit more neatly vertically. So yeah, you can see the icon is at the bottom. And, I could do something like, position absolute top and then set like a very specific pixel width, and I have to set the parent to position at relative so it doesn't fly up the page. So you can kind of center it that way, but then of course you need to, when it's positioned absolute, it doesn't take up space on the page. So we'd have to say something like, oh man, I don't even know if this is gonna work, but display inline block, and then set padding left to something. I'm just using pixel just for the ease of it. And then you would position the icon left 0 pixels, and then just kind of eyeball it to center it. But I feel like that's kind of a lot. I try to avoid using position absolute unless I really have to. I feel like you could just as easily fix this by using, flexbox, which is I think what we did here with the Facebook icon. And the only difference we'd have to do is create another div here for the 12 today content. So we'll create a new selector card underscore underscore number, for lack of a better word. There we go. It's 12 today. So now we can set card change to display flex. And I usually try to put my flexbox and or CSS grid properties first, but you can do whatever order makes sense for you. Okay, now this is a problem because having an image as a flexbox child will make it stretch automatically unless you explicitly set align items, I think. So let's see if that works. Align items center. There we go. If you don't explicitly set align items, I think it'll say like stretch as the, yeah, so you can see that. So we just set align items to center and everything's happy. Let's see if it actually tells us. Let's look. So I uncheck this so this rule won't take place. Let's check the computed and see. Oh yeah, align items is normal, which I'm assuming is stretch based on what we just saw here. So we'll do that. Justify content center. Because by default, justify content will be at the beginning. Flex start. So we don't want that. So center. So add those styles to card change as well. And again, we're sort of grouping the flexbox style rules together. Okay, looks pretty good. I think we need to add a little space between the arrow and the number. Yeah, so let's double check that. 4 pixels. So what I want to do is maybe add a margin right to the number. So under card change, underscore underscore number. And you'll notice that in my styles, I sort of try to follow the order of the elements in the HTML markup. So because card change comes first, it's the parent to card number. I'm putting card number after the card change set of rules. So what we're going to do, oh yeah, add space. So margin right. And it was 8, I think. I can't remember. Let's see. 4. Wow, totally off. Man, I'm so glad I added this rem function to convert from pixels to rems for me, because if any of you watched my previous videos, I would always have to pull out my calculator every time, and it was kind of a pain. Okay, that margin right's not working, and I think it's because I have an image tag, which is by default display inline, I think. So I need to set it explicit to display block in order for the margin to happen. Oh, that didn't work at all. Oh, you know why? It's because I added it to card change. No, I added it to card number. Yeah. So I wanted to add it to the image tag here. So I could create another class here, card underscore underscore arrow or whatever, but sometimes I sort of balance out creating, the need to create new classes and new selectors with using an element selector, especially for images. So this image tag is in the card change div. So if I add image tag there we go. Save that. And I know that this style rule is only going to affect image tags that are inside the card change div. So you can see again that using BEM really helps to avoid, conflicts in naming, because everything is a very unique name. There we go. So that space looks a lot better. This card's looking pretty good. Let's see what else we need to do here. So we got all the main elements here. I got the padding set. I think we need to do a little border radius here. You can see the corners are slightly rounded. Then we need to take care of the bar. Oh, hello. Now let's see where it tells you about the border. It's mixed. Okay, that's, how do you, oh gosh. Will it tell you the border radius rectangle? Oh, it looks like it's 5 pixels. Corner radius. So they call it corner radius. So corner radius of 5, which is border radius in CSS speak, of the card. So go all the way back up to the card selector. And we'll go border radius. Oh gosh, can't type at all. Rem 5, and it's, I think, the same all the way around. Okay, so we can, it's kind of hard to see this, but you can see that it is a little bit rounded. Now we want to do the stripe. So let's see how tall this is. Maybe this is it. Here we go. 4 pixels tall. So let's just try and see if I can add that through border top. 5 pixels, so rem 5 solid. And then we want that Facebook color. So Facebook. Okay, let's see if this works. Oh wait, it needs to be dash Facebook. Oh, come on. There we go. Now we can see everything. All right, let's check our browser. Okay, that didn't do anything. Really? Let's try reloading. Hello. Did I add it to the right place in card? Oh, card dash Facebook. I didn't add the modifier. Here we go. So card Facebook. All right. Now it should show up. Ooh, there we go. It looks pretty good. Yeah, it looks very close to the design. I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, so now let's create the other cards. And the good thing is, now that we know that this is correct, we can just copy and paste these selectors here. So in container is the card element. So I'm gonna go like this. Is that right? Yeah, so 1, 2, 3. So when I save this, and you know, I might honestly add some space just to be able to parse it a little bit better myself. So now we should have 4 Facebook cards. Let's remove the space here from the change element, just so we know what belongs to what card. Okay, so now we should have 4 Facebook cards on our website. Okay, and we do. Now, of course, we didn't add the grid stuff. You can see they're trying to sync the scroll. It's a little bit buggy. Anywho, let me think about this. So yeah, let's do the grid layout now. So obviously, we mentioned before, this is going to be 4 columns. I guess we can add the space between them, 30 pixels. I would usually use maybe grid for this, but I think you can also use flexbox. I think the main advantage grid has had over flexbox, among other things, is the gap property. But I think flexbox is slowly going to get the gap property. Let's see if that's available. Can I use .com? Oh, so gap actually is used in flexbox, unless you're using IE11, but if you're using IE11, you're gonna have way bigger problems than flexbox gap. So let's just see how this looks with flexbox, just because we did use grid for, I think, the header stuff. So we're going to add the grid stuff in the parent section tag, which is the container. So I guess I'll have to add another class to make this a flex parent. And because we know there's 2 sets of grids, so the top cars and the bottom cars, and they're all using the same 4-column layout, I might want to reuse that class. So let's add a new class, flex-parent. And then in the layout Sass file, we'll add another set of rules here for flex parent. And it's stacked to 1 column on mobile. So the display flex needs to be in our breakpoint mixin medium. Display flex. Now let's see what we got. All right, so now they're all in the same line. which is good. Let's kind of focus on the desktop version for now. And we want to add space, so we'll say gap of rem 30. Now we have a nice gap now. And let's see if it really goes, if they only add the gap space to the between the items. Sweet. Oh, that's interesting. Chrome doesn't have a flexbox inspector. I guess we don't really need it since we can obviously see it's working. Cool. This will add a gap, I think, between rows as well. Now let's see how it looks on mobile. Ooh, not great. So this needs to be centered, I'm assuming. Yeah, as you can see here. So how do I want to center these? I could center them by saying card margin auto. But then to add space, I would have to say like margin 0, auto, 30 pixels, auto. But then this would need to be only for small, and then it wouldn't happen on desktop. So I'd have to cancel it out on desktop, which is a little bit annoying. So I wonder if it might be better to use Flexbox for mobile also, but have it be wrapping. Yeah, maybe I'll do that. Okay, let's go back to here. I need to have flex parent because that's a little bit too generic because, you know, I'm using Flexbox in multiple places. Let's say cards. Oh gosh. Card grid. This is one of those things where, you know, I don't know what the right name for this is. Card grid. I think what I would sometimes do in the past is because everything's in the card styles here, I would do something like card __ grid and then add some more styles here, which works with the BEM stuff, works with the BEM approach that we've been doing, but then it kind of goes against my personal approach of having the order in the Sass file follow the order in the markup. So it's kind of weird to have the parent be a child, the parent in the HTML be a child in here. I could also just break another rule, and instead of having this be the card be the only block, I would add cards and then make this class name cards. So there's a lot of different approaches. I mean, honestly, you know, what's the easiest to understand? And just kind of maybe pick an approach and try to be consistent with that. I might just do cards in the HTML class, in the HTML, class name, and then add just another selector here just for cards. So then I'm not polluting the layout styles with something that's specific to the card grid. So, you know, you can kind of see it's a little bit of an inexact science. So we wanted to move the display flex to mobile also. And then flex wrap, we want to allow it to wrap. And then I guess we'll move the gap property up to mobile too. And we'll probably need some more styles in here, so I'm just leaving the breakpoint there. What's the next thing we want to do? If we're using cards to use Flexbox, what we could do is set flex direction to column for mobile, and then for medium and up, we'll say flex direction is row. So that way it'll stack. We're using Flexbox to actually stack the items. So now you can see it's stacking nicely, and we have the 4 columns on desktop. Now, obviously this needs to be centered, I think. Let's go back to the design. Here we go, mobile. So it looks like the mobile cards are going all the way across. They're wider than what we have on desktop here. So this is 326 and this is 255. So I guess what we could do is have the cards be 100% width on mobile, and then maybe on tablet have it be 2 columns, and then on desktop be 4 columns. Would that work? Let's see. So I think I had this temporary thing here. So I think I might need to cap the max width of the cards. Well, let's just see what happens when we remove this. I think things might be strangely, yeah. This is a bit weird. I need to, I think, set the card widths on desktop to 25%. So I think what I should do to do that is card, and set the flex property to 1. So flex of 1 means each flexbox child, which is each card, has the same ratio of dividing up the horizontal width with each other. So that means since there's 4 cards, they'll each get 25% of the total width. And now it's going all the way across, which is good. So I think maybe that can just fix our problem for us. But we'll have to test on tablet and see how that looks. Okay, let's just see what happens. Flex of 1. I'm not sure what it's going to look like on mobile, but we'll find out. Okay. Desktop looks pretty good. Mobile also looks pretty good. So let's add a new layout for tablet. How do I do this? Oh, that's interesting. Create 3 panes from website breakpoints. Let's see what happens when we click that. Whoa. Ooh. Below 640. And then EMs of 40, which is sort of tablet, and then the desktop. That's pretty cool. I think it must have read my styles. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Okay, this is 480 width, which I guess would be a very big phone. I mean, I guess that's okay. What you could do is set a max width on the card and then sort of center it. But is everything else in the mobile design centered? No, it is left aligned. So it might look weird if the cards are centered, but then the text is like aligned to the left. And this is pretty wide for a phone, I think. Yeah. Maybe we'll change this manually to the 11. Change this to a tablet size. I'm not really familiar with tablets, but I guess this one seems okay. Oh boy. Oh yeah, that's different. Happens with the iPad 810. Yeah, it's still doing this stretchy thing. And then desktop is fine. I think the mobile styles are okay. We'll just have them go all the way across. Now for tablet, I don't know if we would really want the card to go all the way across like this. It's because I turned flex wrap on, and actually what if I don't want flexbox wrap on? If I don't do that, then it's too wide to fit. So I do want flexbox wrap, but what I would like is to have it be maybe 2 columns on tablet. So let's kind of test this out in the browser. So flex of 1 is for mobile, and this is a shorthand property that will take up the flex grow, flex shrink, and flex basis. So flex basis is the default width, and it's 0% when you just set using the flex shorthand property. Flex grow is the sort of the speed at which the element will grow in width to fit, you know, the parent width. And then the shrink is how much it'll shrink. So what I think I want to do is, to limit it to 2 columns, I could set something like flex basis of 50%, I think. And then don't let it grow, so set flex grow to 0. Oh gosh, don't tell me. No, 50%, I want it to be 2 columns, but I think maybe the gap property is making the 50% be too much. Yeah. Oh, that's annoying. That's not cool. I think CSS Grid won't do this. Like, I think if you set the gap property in CSS Grid, it'll just sort of nicely fit everything. So in CSS Grid, if we did that, we would set the grid template to 1 column for mobile. We would set it to 2 columns for tablet and set it to 4 columns for desktop. And that's kind of looking a little bit better than what we have here. Yeah, let's switch over to CSS Grid for this. Oh boy. So displaying grid. I think gap still works for CSS Grid. Grid template columns is, I guess, 1 FR for mobile. And then for medium, we'll say grid template columns is repeat to 1 FR. So that means that there will be 2 columns 1FR is sort of like the flex amount ratio. So the space, each one will have the same amount of space. And then we'll do include breakpoint large grid template columns. And we'll say for repeat for 1FR. So they'll be the same width in 4 columns. And we'll delete this flex one thing. I think that's all the flexbox styles we added. Okay. Oh boy, you know, as much as I like Flexbox, I think Grid definitely has some advantages. So now this is very easy. It's 4 columns on desktop. We got 2 columns on tablet, and we got 1 column on mobile. Nice, so the layout looks good. I'm happy with that. The next thing I want to do is add these styles for the other social media platforms. So let's go into our markup, and the first card is Facebook. And then second card is Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. So we're going to change the modifier classes to match, and then also the image, obviously. So this is the first card, the Facebook card. And here's the second card, so card Twitter. And then change the image. Next one is Instagram. And then last one is YouTube. And I think there's some other copy we need to change too. So Twitter is 1044 and 99 today. Go back up here. 1044. 99 today. And we're just hard coding these values. If this was, you know, an actual app, you know, using data and stuff, then we would use, you know, the framework or JavaScript and the API to generate the numbers here. But we're just using hard coded stuff. Instagram is 11K and then 1099 today. 11K, 1099. And what you might do if you are generating the data from somewhere is, in order to be able to target just the number when you're changing it, you might do something like wrap it in a span. And then you could target the card number, span child, and then make that the number. But we're not really worried about that right now, so we'll just kind of leave it like that. Okay, and then YouTube is 8239 144. 8239 144. Oh, and it's down. So down. And down. And down. And then we'll have to I think add some styles for the different modifiers too. Let's just see how this looks right now. Okay, cool. So yeah, icons are showing up. And you can see we did add the styles for the down, so it's red. And we just need to add the styles for the top bars. So because we have nicely organized our styles in our Sass file, we can just look down our file and we can see card has this modifier here. Oops. So we'll just copy that and paste it here and then replace the colors. And I'm assuming the colors have been named, you know, with the name of the thing. Okay. Let's see if that worked. Ooh, okay, Instagram didn't work for some reason. Instagram, let's check our colors. Oh, Instagram start and end. Oh, right, it's a linear gradient. Let's go to our design again. Kind of take a closer look at this. It looks like the gradient's going from left to right, sort of, and it's angled up a little bit. Here we go. Oh, there's 3 colors in there. Oh gosh. Oh, I'm so glad they do this. This is amazing. It's seriously amazing. I'm gonna copy that. Can I put a linear gradient in a border top? I guess we'll find out. I'm not sure if you can. Oh boy. Yeah, I don't know if you can. Ooh, yeah. Oh man, this might make things a little more complicated than I was sort of hoping. Well, it didn't make an error, so let's see. Yeah, it didn't work. Yep. Let's look this up. CSS, linear gradient in border. I'm pretty sure this will not work. Probably need to fake it somehow. Let's see. Yeah, they're using pseudo elements, which I think is what I'm gonna have to do. I mean, it looks really cool. Okay. I feel like they didn't give us the colors we wanted. Or like, there were 3 colors when I look at the design. Is that right? That's the Instagram end color, okay. And this is the 5. The middle color is not listed, so we'll just have to add that in. Copy that. Okay, and the angle is 225 degrees. So let's think about this. I want to add it in a pseudo element, so we can't use the border thing. So let's comment this out. Okay, so with the card that has okay, so with the card with the modifier of Instagram, we want to add a pseudo element that will look like the border, but it's not a border, it's a pseudo element. So let's get the pseudo element working first. So we'll put it in the before pseudo element. Now for a pseudo element, you have to set the content to something, whether it's an empty string or something else. Otherwise, it's not going to show up at all on the web page. And I learned that the hard way. Okay, so for pseudo element, content is blank. We'll set the height to, I believe it was 5, based on what we have up there. Width, I guess, will be 100%. And I'm going to have to set this to, I think, position. Actually, let's just see what happens if we don't have anything. I think I might need to use position absolute for this, but I'm not sure. I'll set the background to, what was it? Instagram start. And we'll worry about the linear gradient later. We're just trying to figure out how to make this element at all for Instagram. So again, we're kind of breaking things down, doing things step by step. So the first step is just getting this pseudo element working. Okay, so here it is. Width is 0. Why is that? Maybe position relative? We have to set to display block. Oh, there we go. That worked. Oh my gosh. And the other problem is, because it's relative, the padding in the card is limiting the width of this. So that's kind of annoying. I mean, I guess I could do manually add the padding in. So it'd be calc 100% plus, I think it was 30 pixels. So times 2 is 60 pixels. But then obviously it'd have to, I think I might have to do position absolute. And then width is 100%. And I think I need to set this to position relative to limit the absolute thing. Because otherwise, if you don't set the parent of an absolutely positioned element to position relative, it's going to just sort of keep going up your tree until it hits whatever position has position set, or it'll just go all the way up to the top in the body. That's why it was so long earlier. So position absolute, and we'll say left of 0, top of 0. And the problem is we want to, it's not taking the border radius, so I think I need to set overflow to hidden. There we go. Now the other problem is I'm a little worried that because it's position absolute, it's not actually taking up any space on the page. It's just kind of like floating wherever you stick it. So I think that's made the content in the Instagram card go up, 5 pixels. So I guess we could fix that by setting, we could do padding top of 1.5625 rems plus 5 pixels. Or we could try doing something like add a margin top to take up that space. So margin top of 5 pixels. So that seems like it's better. It's a little hacky, but I think to make this linear gradient work, we kind of have to do that. So let's do this. So card platform is going to have a margin top of 5 pixels. And then I'm not saving because it's going to automatically update my styles and update this website. And I want to make sure I copy everything. So the card, we'll just set all the cards to position relative and overflow hidden because that's not a terrible thing. It wouldn't be a terrible thing for all of them to have that. And then the before element is all this stuff here. Okay, I didn't add any of this to the styles yet. So card, oh, I did here. So everything under background. Content height, width, and background. So this is the position absolute stuff. Okay, save that. I like putting the position stuff first. After content. And I also like putting width first. Okay. I think that, is that the same? I can't even tell. Let's add a guide. Vertical guide at 100 pixels. Hello. Can't see anything. Let's get rid of these other ones here. Okay, guides. Hover over the rulers to show a guide. On the side of the guide is a number displaying how many pixels it is. Click anywhere on the ruler to add a permanent guide there. Okay. So hover over, let's go to the desktop view. Hover over the ruler. Oh, there we go. These aren't perfectly aligned. I think it's because of the icon height. Oh man. Okay, so let's fix this. My guess is the icons are different heights. So it's like slightly misaligning. And then of course this one is like really different. So first, maybe I'll set a height for the platform element. Yeah. This is 20 pixels. Let's see how tall the Twitter one is. I'm just testing my theory that the icon height is responsible for the weird alignment. Yeah, it's 17. So I think I need to say, which one's the tallest one? Instagram looks pretty tall. 20. YouTube is 20. So if we say card platform height is 20 pixels, then you can see the Twitter one kind of went down a little bit. And then let's see. I'm just doing this to sort of debug. Make sure everything is centered correctly. That seems good. So we'll set height of 20 pixels for card platform. Here we go. Height, rem 20. So now, you can see that. So everything except Instagram looks pretty good. So for Instagram, what happened to that margin top that I set? 5 pixel, I think. Oh, I need to be specific to Instagram, duh. So maybe card Instagram, card platform. Maybe for card Instagram, I'll add a specific padding top of 0.5625 plus 5 pixels. rem. There we go. Cool thing about calc is that you can combine units. So I think this is awesome. So if we go back to card, and originally the padding was rem 25. So we'll have to remember that. And we'll say, oops, padding top calc is the rem 25. Let's see if this works. Plus rem 5. Okay, there's no error, which is good. Let's see if this actually happened. It looks a little bit more centered, which is great. And I think I added it to the, here we go, the padding. Oh, didn't work. Oh, golly. So it's really 25 pixels plus 5 pixels, which is 30 pixels. Wait, I can just do rem. I don't need the calc. I'm dumb. Rem 25 plus 5 is 30. So 30. There we go. There we go. Okay, there we go. So now, if we use the guide here, this is actually a really cool feature of Polypane, making sure things are aligned. Yes, everything is centered now. This is a wonderful day. Okay. So we go back here. Tablet looks pretty good. Mobile looks pretty good. So there's padding around everything. Okay, I did notice that I forgot one thing. The Instagram card, I just put that temporary orange color, and it's supposed to be a linear gradient if we look at the design again. So yeah, it's supposed to be this thing here. So let's put that in. Let's go back into our code. So I had set that color bar on the top of the cards as a border top. But for Instagram, because it's a linear gradient, you can't make a border like a linear gradient. You have to use this sort of hacky workaround and put it in a pseudo element. So here's the temporary color, the background thing. So I think I can just replace that with the linear gradient that I copied from the design file. So we'll just copy that. And then let's comment that out for now. Here's the linear gradient stuff. And we want to replace these with the variables that we made. And let's just go back and see what we did. Okay, so it's Instagram start, Instagram middle, Instagram end. So I'll copy that first one. Actually, it looks like this might be, I might have it backwards. So I think this is the end, middle, and then start. Let's try that. Oh yeah, var. And then middle, and then end. Let's make sure we're not throwing an error. Okay, good. So there we go. And what this is saying is the linear gradient, I think if you don't set some of the parameters like the angle, it'll be like a horizontal gradient, I believe. Right, but you can set options. So like this is 225-degree angle, so it's slightly angled up, I think. And then we can set as many colors as we want, and then the percentages sort of tell you where that color starts. So let's load the website again. Let's see if oh, nice. That was pretty easy, right? I just had to, I think that's one thing I'm really liking about Figma, how you can just copy these styles from Figma itself. Like it has that export option. Yeah, so cool. Okay, so that was a little small thing that we forgot last time. And another thing that I want to sort of update here is in Polypane, it's a little bit of a pain for me to have to like try to horizontally scroll between the different things. So if you go up here, I have it set on horizontal layout, but I think I'm going to try, let's see what vertical does. I guess that sort of works if you want them all on the same page. And then there is focus. So you can, it creates tabs for each of them at the top, which maybe, I think I might like this better. Yeah, let's stick to this one. The vertical one also seemed pretty cool. Okay, let's look back at the design and see what we want to do next. And I think we need to work on the other grid of cards down there. So if we look at that second grid of cards, It has some of the same items as the top row of cards as we mentioned earlier. So like the icon and the number for the percentage change is the same. There's a new thing that has a subtitle for page views. So we need to figure out how we want to build this out. And each card is divided into four, I guess you could say 4 quadrants it looks like. So I might use something like CSS grid to create a template where it has 2 columns and then 2 rows. Yeah, let's do that with CSS grid. So let's take a look at the markup and figure out how we want to build that second grid of cards out. Okay, so this section tag is the first row of cards. And let's kind of minimize each card so we can take a better look at everything. So what I'm probably going to do is create another section tag with the same classes, because the container class is what sets the max width and centers it on large viewport widths. And then the cards class, I believe, if I remember right, yeah, so this one sets a display of the grid of cards in a 4-column layout on desktop, 2-column on tablet, 1 column on mobile. So yeah, I think we want to create another section tag that has the same classes. So section.container.cards, and it generates that for us. And then each card will have the markup for each of the items. And I think what I'm going to do is, let me think about this. Do I want to just copy this and then just change it, or do I want to start from scratch? And I think I might want to start from scratch because the design is pretty different. Like these top cards, everything is just in 1 column and centered versus this grid down here. So I think I can probably reuse this card class. Let's see. So the card class, it has the background color, which is the same, the color of the text, the padding, border radius, and then the text line is center, which I don't need, but we can take care of that later. But I think there's enough properties here that are shared between the top cards and the bottom cards that I'm going to want to use the same class for that. Then we can differentiate it with, either a modifier or a helper class. So yeah, let's do that. Yeah, this stuff is just all pretty different. Okay, so some space there. So with this second set of cards, I'm going to do sort of what I did in the previous section, and I'm going to start just building 1 card out. And then once I have that set, make sure all the styles and everything are correct, then I will, copy and paste to create the other cards. So let's make our first card. So card. I'll start at the very beginning. And then we'll move the markup into there. So it's page views, the Facebook thing, the number, and then the change. So I think this is what we want for the first card. Now here's where I need to figure out how I want to lay out this stuff. So what I think I'm going to do is create a grid template for these second cards. Now, where do I want, what should the class name be for this, and where should I put it in our Sass file? So if we look in the card Sass file, we had these modifiers for the top cards to control that that colored stripe at the top. And I think I might do another modifier for the grid inside the individual cards. And, this is, again, one of those situations where there's not one right answer, at least in my opinion. You could do this, multiple different ways. So I think my options are either creating another modifier to make that grid layout, or I could create a helper class. So meaning instead of doing card, and then let's say we make a modifier class for card -- grid, for lack of a better word, and then making this be another modifier here, we could do a helper class, which is doing something like, I don't know, card - grid. So this will be the second class name, and then we'll set all those grid styles in this card grid class. And it's kind of the same thing. I think maybe for readability, because we have these modifiers already for the different social platforms, I don't know if I want to just add another modifier. Maybe that would be better in terms of the BEM approach. But I think, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, the naming and organizing part of your styles, I think, is maybe not the most difficult part, but it definitely takes a lot more thought than you might think at the beginning. Trying to figure out what do I want the class name to be and where do I want to put that? Okay, I think I'm going to try to stick with the BEM methodology and just say card dash dash grid and make that another modifier here. So that way they're just all like under the card selector here. Okay, so now that we have this selector, let's just save that really quick. And then I think I probably need to put each of these things in their own child div of the card grid so that they can be, you know, laid out in the grid template. So let's think about this. Card grid, and then in the card grid will be the children. And what I'm sort of thinking through in my mind right now is if I create a separate div with a unique class for each of these things, then that's going to create more classes and stuff that I'm going to have to create. Like, would I have to make another element in here? I'm not really sure. Alternatively, I could do a completely different approach and put all these grid styles in a new Sass file and call it card-grid and do something like this, or it's card-grid, make a new Sass file called card-grid SCSS and put all the styles for that in that new file. And that is actually sort of appealing because then I'm separating out the different styles. Yeah, so it's just one of those things where you just gotta kind of choose one approach and just follow it. Yeah, I think I might want to do that just because adding more modifiers and elements along with the existing card elements and modifiers, I think might make things a little bit too confusing. Yeah, let's do that. I don't know if that's the best way, but I think I'm going to do that. So we'll make a new Sass file, card-grid SCSS. And I do want to note that the single hyphen is not something that's really part of BEM, but I just do that with names that are a little bit longer. I could say card grid with no hyphen, but it makes it a little bit more readable. So card grid is going to be the block name for this. So we'll save that. And of course, since we made a new Sass file, we need to forward card-grid. There we go. Okay. Yeah, this feels a little bit better. I think just separating things out will make things less confusing, hopefully, if we have to go back and change things. So we're going to do this card grid, and then in here, so we could say something like card-grid, and that's the block, __ for the new element. And for the first one, we'll say maybe username. And then this will go in there. And then maybe because the content's not super long, we'll just do it like this. Oh, I guess Prettier just automatically modifies it like that. Okay. And then card grid __ number, I think. And I'm sort of I want to use the same element names as we had up here. Yeah, so it's follower count. And then platform and username. And this is just so, actually, I don't know if this is a great thing because I want the styles from the card grid username to actually be the same as card __ username, right? Because they share a lot of the same styles. So I think I need to separate out just the styles for the grid stuff with the card grid thing. But for the child elements, I think I need to do, card username. And then the number. So this is the number here. Let's make sure it matches up with the selector up here. So card username, and then card followers, card count, big. So I think I wanted to do card count small for these cards here. Let me just double check and make sure that's the class I made. Card count small. Yeah, so we're going to use that here. So I hope that makes sense, but I'm trying to put all the styles that are shared between the top cards and the bottom cards in the card Sass file, because otherwise I would have to, if they have a different class name like card grid __ username or count or whatever, I would basically be having to copy and paste the styles over there. So I would rather they just had the same classes and keep everything as minimal as possible. So this is pretty normal back and forth when you're building something, because you don't always get it right the first time. So there's just a lot of trial and error. Okay, so this is better. And to take care of the grid child items, because I do need to set some grid styles for these elements here, I'm going to put it in card grid, and I might do something like just nth child 1, nth child 2, 3, and 4, so that I don't have to create additional classes for these in the card grid. So I don't know if that's the right thing to do, but I don't want to create more classes than I really need. Okay, so 1044 followers. So if you look at the design, oh, this is interesting. So I think this is going back to some of the accessibility things that I mentioned in the research video, because this is just giving you the icon for the platform, and this is just giving you the number. It's not actually saying, username here and then this many followers. And I'm guessing they included that in the copy because, wait a minute, is this even the right copy? So the second card here is supposed to be page views 87. I don't know if I copied the right thing. I might have just copied what was in the first card. Oops. 1044. Where'd that number come from? Oh, this is from Twitter. 11K 8239. Oops. Yep. I copied that wrong. So kind of forget everything I just said. Oh my gosh. Okay, delete that. And then we need to find out where the copy starts for these second cards. So it starts with this sub headline overview today. And that's here. Okay, so this stuff I don't need. Okay. So the overview today, the sub headline, I'm probably going to make that an H2 tag, because the social media dashboard, that's in an H1 tag. And you want to kind of keep the hierarchy going down the page. So because this is a subtitle, it's a bit of a smaller font, so that sort of tells you that it's a sub headline, and you only want one H tag per page. So this is going to be an H2 tag. And we need to figure out where we want to put this, because in the grid thing, in the container cards grid, each of these child divs is in the grid. So I feel like I want to include the H2 tag inside this section, but I obviously want it to take the full width of everything, not be part of the card grid. So let's think about this. Let's go back to the cards rule here. Here we go. Cards, display grid, yada yada. Yeah, so all the child elements in cards is going to be part of this card grid. So what I could do is move the cards element to its own div here. So then in here is where the second row of cards would be. And then that way, when we add this H2 tag with overview today, it won't be part of the grid. It'll be full width and its own thing. So yeah, okay. Now, in this first card, we want to add markup for page views, the icon 87, and then the 3%. So I don't get confused again. We're gonna, oh man, it keeps doing that. Let's just move this in here. Okay. Now, we want to create a div for each of these things. So page views is going to be the first child. And then the second child is the Facebook icon, I believe. Yeah. So let's just copy it from where we had it up here. Here we go. Oh, what did I do? Okay, and then 87 will go up here, and then 3% will go in the last child. Okay, so now we have our first card. Obviously, I haven't really made many styles here. So you can see, hold on. I can't see that. Okay, I guess I need to go back to... Let's go back to the horizontal thing. And I'll just have to vertical... I'll also have to horizontal scroll. I guess I could do that, and there's space for the screen. Can't put it on the left side. This is annoying. So you can't see this. I'm going to just quickly add some temporary styles to boilerplate. And I'm going to say min height 150 VH. So we'll hopefully add some extra space. There we go. Yay. All right, here we have the card and everything's showing up. It's taking the card styles. So now I need to add the CSS grid styles for the grid part. So it's going to be card grid. So in card grid, we'll say display grid because we're doing the grid for all breakpoints, mobile, tablet, and desktop. We'll say grid template columns. Oops. Grid template. Repeat for, I guess 1FR. And then grid template rows. And we'll do, are they the same? It's probably the same. Repeat to 1FR. I just kind of start with this, and then if we need to change it, we can. Okay, so now let's see if that changed anything here. Oop. Oh, something's wrong. So that space shouldn't be there. Okay, cool. There we go. Oh wait, I want 2 columns. Yeah, there we go. 2 columns. All right, so now it's in the layout, general layout that we want. Let's copy over some of the classes that we created for the top cards so that they'll be in the bottom cards now. So the first one was the page views. I actually don't know if that, I think that might be its own style. Yeah. Let's see. There's enter bold 14. So I think we might need to create a title for that. Let me think about this. Card subtitle. Let's put it at the top. So subtitle, font size rem 14, font weight 700. And then for the card icon, let's see where that was here. Card icon. I don't really need this margin right thing because that was just for the main card. So I wonder if I just leave it without a class, what that would look like. That actually seems okay, so let's just leave that. And 87, that's the number. So before it was card count big. So we'll do this. And then instead of big, it's small because the number is smaller. And we'd already created this style here. Small. So we just need to add the style for a smaller number. Let's enter bold 32. There we go. And let me just make sure what it is on mobile. $32. Okay, it's the same. and then the number thing. And that was card change, I believe. Yeah, card change up, and then card number. So I'll need 2 divs, I think. Actually, I will need the image too. Where was that? Here we go. And then card number. And then there's no today thing. And then we need to add the class for the card change up. All right, now let's see what we got. Okay, so we can see these styles are taking effect and they pretty much match, and this number is smaller here, which is good. Let's see what else we need to do. I think we need to align the things on the left to the left and align the things on the right to the right. Yeah. The padding looks about the same. 24. So it's about the same as the top card. So yeah, I think we're just going to align things to the right, to the left and the right. And then the top row looks like it's aligned in the middle vertically. And the bottom row, it looks like it's aligned on the bottom. So we'll have to take care of all those alignment issues here. Let's go into card grid. And so what I'm going to do is I don't want to create... I mean, I guess I could say card subtitle there. Yeah, so let's do that. We're going to create rules for card subtitle, card count, card change within card grid. I don't know if it's the best thing to do, but at least it will be a little bit more descriptive when you're looking at card grid. Yeah, let's do it. Now, I might be straying a little bit away from strict BEM format here, but I think it's okay. Oops, what did I do? Card subtitle, card count, card change. Subtitle, card count, card change. Oh yeah, and then the image. Should I add a class on that? I think I didn't want to because this is adding new styles that I don't need. So because there's just an image here, actually I think I do need to add a class here so that I can identify it. This one was card platform, card icon. I could reuse it, I guess. Card platform was a parent div, which is the same hierarchy as what we have here. So card platform, what styles did I write for that platform? Oh yeah, I do not want this because this is this is the flex stuff that made this centered vertically. So yeah, I don't want that. I wonder what would happen if I just had an image by itself without having this div, the wrapper div. Oops, what am I doing here? There we go. Let's see if this messes anything up. Okay, I guess that looks okay. So let's add some of the alignment issues. Let's add some of the alignment rules to the card grid. So justify content, which is the horizontal since our grid is going this way. Justify content. I want this to be, do not space between. It's a flexbox thing, but let's see if that worked. Oh, that did not work. Align items. Well, that looks like it worked. Yeah, so, oh, wait a minute. let's turn on the grid. Card grid. There we go. All right, what's going on here? If I turn on align items, it's centered in the cell. Oh, this is because I did, it's making both rows the same height because they're both 1FR, and they're taking the height from this 87 thing. So, okay, there's a couple problems here. One is that I think the card may not actually be tall enough. It's 122 pixels right now. And it's 125. That's actually pretty close. So maybe I don't need to worry about the card height. But I think I just need to align each cell individually, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, let's just go to CSS Tricks Grid Guide. CSS Tricks has these very, very, very helpful resources for Flexbox and Grid. So let's see. Let's look for justify. Okay, so there's justify items and justify content. So aligns grid items along the inline row. This value applies to all grid items inside the container. Start aligns items to be flushed with the start edge of their cell. Oh, this is what I need to do. So I think justify content is the cells themselves. Justify items will align each cell content within the cell. So let's do that. Let's just see how this works. I think it's supposed to be start. Okay. This is gonna align everything to the left if this works. Okay, yeah, looks like that's what's happening. So I need to align the other things to the right. So this is gonna be the image and then the change. So I can override that with justify self end. For card change, let's just make sure that's working. Okay, that is working. And I think I might need to do a compound selector here. So image, comma, card change. So this will affect the image tag for the icon and then the card change div as well. Okay, good. Now let's use these handy little guide here. And it does look like it's centered vertically, which is great. And then here, it's like sort of, I think they're both on the bottom. Let's see. Ooh, I guess it's centered. Let's see if we can do this card number. Align self end. Oops. Oh, geez. Oh, it's not card number, card change. Oops, what is going on here? Okay, so I'm gonna have to do card change and then card number, I think it was, for the 87. Let me see if I even got that right. Card count. Don't quite look the same. I think maybe because this is sort of determining the height of each row. And I want to get rid of that for sure. The margin bottom. Yeah, margin bottom. So card count and card change will be aligned self end. Card count, I want to get rid of that margin bottom. 0. And then card count, card change. Align self end. Okay, I think that looks better. So yeah, so the top row is centered vertically. Bottom row is aligned to the bottom. Okay, great. Let's check the height of this card too. 114. So I think I need to add some space between the page views and then the number. Yeah, there's a lot more space here. You can see this. 20, 21. So I will add space. And I kind of want, I don't want the first row to be the same height as the second row. So I think maybe, I think there's a property called like fit content or something. That didn't do anything. Ooh, what if I do auto? Just the... Oh, that actually kind of worked. Okay, good. So now the rows are only taking the height of the content in the row. So let's change that. So in card grid template rows, repeat to auto. Okay, good. And then now I can add the space with the gap property. So gap, I think it was 24. Let's double check that. 21. And the whole card, we want it to be 125. So we can adjust that. Oops. What? The gap property's not working? Oh, I think I did something wrong. Oh, it's not using the, it's not taking the function. But it's also not throwing an error, which is weird. I think I didn't remember to add this util thing, because that's where the rem function is. But I'm really surprised that it didn't throw an error in gulp. Okay, now the space is there. Interesting. Okay, let's check the size of the card. 123. So maybe we'll add 2 pixels to that to make it 125 to match the design. There we go. All right, looking pretty good. Not bad. All right, let's add the other cards to our markup. So there's 4 times 2, there's 8 cards. Oh wait, I forgot the subtitle. Let's take the styles here. Inter bold 24. Actually, it looks pretty close. I guess because I made that an H2. So since it's an H2 tag, I'm going to put the styles in the typography Sass file. Here we go, H2. Font size, rem, 24. So it's 24 on desktop. Let's see if it's the same on mobile. Slightly smaller. 24, nope, it's 24 all the way around. Okay. So that makes that pretty easy. And I might need to add a margin bottom to this 24 margin bottom. And let's check what it is on mobile. 27. Usually you have more space on the desktop version. Let's just say 24 for both. I think that's close enough. Okay. All right, that's looking pretty good. Cool. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. Okay. I think that is good for this card style. So let's go close these things out. And so here's the card grid. Sorry, card grid. So this is for the Facebook card. So I'm just going to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So let's see how that looks. Nice. Yeah, looks good. Cool. And this is the benefit of creating styles that you can reuse, because I created all the grid styles for the cards for the top row, and I can just reuse the same classes for the bottom row. So it makes things efficient, and it also makes things easier on me. I don't have to, write the styles every single time. So now we just need to update the copy in each card to match the design. So second card is likes, 52. It is still Facebook, 52. And it's a down of 2%. And then we need to change this. Oops, I changed the wrong one, I think. I'll just move that up. There we go. Okay. Then it's likes Instagram 5462. Five, 4, 6, 2, and the percentage was 2257, and it's green. Okay, then the next one is Instagram again, so let's copy this, and it is profile views, Instagram, and then it's 52K. 1375 percentage change. And then this one is retweets 117,303. $117,303, and it's up. Then likes, also for Twitter. Uh, 507 and 553. Okay, and then YouTube, like, ooh, their YouTube's not doing so well. YouTube likes. Mm, 107 and down 19. 107 down. What was that? 119. There we go. I think I need to change the down arrow for the other down arrow. The alt text. Okay, and the last card, YouTube total views. Now let's copy the YouTube icon. 1407 down 12. And then down. Now let's copy the whole selector there. 12. Okay. And I guess I can just delete this. Alrighty. Looking pretty good. It's 2 columns. Yeah. 1 column on mobile. Sweet. Yeah, I mean, that looks good. Let's go back to design, make sure we didn't miss anything. Yeah, it does seem like it's matching the design pretty well. And I do need to do the hover state, so let's do that. So the hover state is on the cards. When you hover over a card, it looks like it just changes the background color. Let's see if anything else changes. A33A55. Okay, 33855 when you hover. And it doesn't look like there's anything else, like it's not scaling up and there's no box shadow, at least that I can tell. Okay, so it's really just the color change, and I'm assuming this is the same color, 333A55, yeah. I think that's kind of it for the hover states. So let's find out what that color was, 33A55. So the dark background was there, is that right? What is this in HSL? It's kind of funny. I wonder if you can do HSL in Figma. Text to HSL. You know, actually, I can do this in VS Code. I'll just do a test color here. Test. And then we'll click on this and click this. So 228, 25, 27. So it looks like this is a new thing. So I'm gonna say card, hover, and then we'll move this down where the card styles are. Maybe here. So I might call this dark card hover. There we go. So now we can copy this variable, go to the card Sass file. So here, I'll add a new selector for the hover, pseudo element, or pseudo class, I think is what it's called. Pseudo elements are the before and after, and then hover is a pseudo class. Background var dark card hover. And to make it look a bit nice, we'll add a transition on that. Background 150 milliseconds, ease in, out. This is kind of my default animation timing. So now, do any of the colors of the text change when you hover? Let's find out. Color is 8C9, 8C6. 8C9, 8C6. So it's the same color. Okay, so the text colors remain the same. It's just the card colors that are changing when you hover. Cool. And then I wonder if I should add a cursor property to card too. Cursor pointer. So this way, if you hover over any part of the card, it goes to the hand. And I'm assuming that's going to be because if you click on one of these cards, it'll give you some more details about the analytics or whatever. So, okay. This looks pretty good. So we've pretty much gotten all the cards built and styled out according to the design. So the next step is going to be, we need to look at some of the accessibility things that we researched in our research video for the screen reader only text. And then we can start working on the light mode and getting the toggle working for switching between dark and light mode, and also with the system preferences, so that it'll be dark mode if you set dark mode in your OS, and then light mode if you set light mode in your OS. But it also gives you control if you want to explicitly change this website to dark mode or light mode. Cool.